Choose a star. What does your star look like? Is it big? Is it small? Does it shine brightly? Or do the others outshine it? Is it part of a constellation? Or does it glow independently? What would the sky be without your star?
Sarah, imagine if your star fell from the sky. Talia, Miriam, your stars have dropped too. Rachel, Jeremy, would your stars survive without them? All of your stars have fallen, but one. What does the sky look like now?
As your star fell from the sky, neshamot fell to this grave. Although these neshamot fell in the masses, we mustn't forget the unique light shed unto this world by each individual. All of the souls in this grave had dreams, hopes, plans for their futures, cut short. Their identities lie lifeless in this grave, and it is our responsibility not only to revive their dreams, but also to fulfill our own as the nation of the stars. Am Yisrael has always been a nation of might and perseverance. We now carry the responsibility as the remaining stars, without forgetting the stars, of the Lupochova Forest.
Don't be fooled by me. Don't be fooled by the face I wear, for I wear a mask, 1,000 masks, masks that I am afraid to take off, and none of them is me.
My surface may be smooth, but my surface is my mask, ever varying and ever concealing. Beneath lies no complacence. Beneath lies confusion and fear and aloneness. But I hide this. I don't want anybody to know it. I panic at the thought of my weakness exposed. That's why I frantically create a mask to hide behind, a nonchalant, sophisticated facade, to help me pretend, to shield me from the glance that knows. A poem by Charles C. Finn.
Today, Mommy and Daddy said we're going away for a while. But they told me not to pack so much. We'll be back soon.
I wonder what the conditions will be like when we get there.
Flowers! Just like we have at home. I can't wait to get off this train.
Flowers. That was a great idea of mine. There's no way anyone will smell the stench of the decomposing bodies.
And don't forget me. It was my idea to put the twigs in the fence to hide the camp.
Oh no. What's wrong? They're coming! They're coming! The Allies are coming!
Quick, round up the troops. Let's liquidate the camp and disguise any traces of it. Make sure no one will ever know.
Treblinka's aim was to deceive its victims until their bitter end. Proven by the quote by Professor Borowski that we mentioned earlier. In the process, the Nazis were almost able to convince themselves.
Even today, people are trying to cover up the truth. And in fact, Holocaust denial is a modern method of doing so. It is our responsibility to remember the Holocaust for what it was. We need to remove the masks that the Nazis and modern-day deniers have put on the Shoah and spread the truth.
The estimated number of victims in Treblinka is between 850,000 and 900,000 people. The Nazis killed approximately 2/3 of the Jewish population in Europe.
There were fewer than 100 known survivors of Treblinka.
There were only about 110 staff members in Treblinka.
The Holocaust killed 6 million Jews, along with gypsies, homosexuals, and disabled people. It officially ended in May 1945, but we still carry it with us every day, and so must our children and the children to come.
Mommy!
Get in! Ow! There's a fire! Move it!
Mommy!
Where are we going? Ow! Get inside, you stupid Jew! Ow!
Mommy!
Panic. The final sound of the door being locked from outside. Mothers crying for children. Children crying for mothers. Hundreds of people shoving you into corners trying to reach loved ones. Where? Why? Panic. Panic. Panic.
Fear.
Panic.
Stumbling into an unknown darkness.
Panic.
The lady next to me has her eyes closed. I shake
Panic.
her, silently praying for her to be asleep.
Panic.
She doesn't stir.
Panic.
Fear.
Panic.
Fear.
Despair.
Panic.
I've lost track
Fear.
of time.
Panic.
2 days, 3 days,
Fear.
a never-ending eternity. Death surrounds me,
Panic.
trying
Fear.
to pull me in, to envelop me.
Panic.
It's so hard to fight, yet so
Fear.
easy
Panic.
to welcome.
Panic.
On this train, good morals killed.
Panic.
Despair.
Fear.
Panic.
Despair.
Agony. The heat, the
Panic.
cycling heat,
Despair.
is dizzying,
Panic.
nauseating. The air is too thick to breathe, to live.
Panic.
There's an overpowering stench caused by the heat,
Despair.
the
Panic.
absence of a toilet and death.
Fear.
There's not much
Panic.
space. What space there is
Fear.
filled
Panic.
by suffocating heat, a choking smell, and
Fear.
burning
Panic.
pain. Pain is soaring through my veins. A
Panic.
toxic predator pouncing on every fiber of hope in my exhausted
Panic.
body. Agony.
Fear.
Panic.
Despair.
Agony. Agony.
Fear.
Panic.
Despair.
Agony.
Embarrassment. They have reduced us to animals. I am embarrassed. Embarrassed of my hygiene. Embarrassed of my inability to do anything. Embarrassed of my selfishness. Embarrassment is no worse than murder. As when a person is embarrassed, they wish to be dead. It is emotional homicide. Embarrassment. Embarrassment.
I'm so tired. My body's
Embarrassment.
Being held up by others, some dead,
Embarrassment.
some wishing to be dead. At first I was focused on surviving. My body was
Embarrassment.
fighting, but now I'm too tired
Embarrassment.
to fight. I'm tired of crying. Tired of praying.
Embarrassment.
Tired of hearing other people's cries. Tired of hearing other people's prayers.
Embarrassment.
Exhaustion.
Embarrassment.
Exhaustion.
Embarrassment.
Exhaustion.
I hear a voice singing, a mother to her child. The sweet sound of her voice seems to dissolve the clouds of pain and misery hanging over us. Another voice joins in, a man's voice. 2 more people join in. Gradually, the whole carriage starts to sing, united. I join in, grasping for the shreds of energy I didn't think I had. We sing louder and louder. Our voices drown out the protesting orders to stop. The train slows, and the doors slide open. I breathe, and for the first time in too long, my lungs are satisfied with the oxygen that reaches them. As our bodies rush out of the carriage, still singing, I am filled with a new sense of hope that whatever is coming couldn't possibly be worse than what had just been. Could it? Hope.
They forced us in here during these horrific times. They shoved us in here all together, like animals. We have been given the opportunity to come together not just as victims, but as a united, strong nation. Now, the question is, will we?
We did what we were told to do. We took any opportunity we had to hurt, to kill, to do anything to make them less human. Eventually, stopped thinking of them as humans and started thinking of them as sheep, as animals. One day, when I saw him, my entire body froze. He looked just like my son. I have watched and facilitated hundreds of murders, but how could I watch my own son being murdered? How could I send him to be killed?
I saw a big area of people in long lines, and there were buildings. One of them had a chimney with big puffs of black smoke coming out of it. I thought maybe that's what they used to keep everybody warm in the winter. A man shouted at me to get in line. As we moved closer, I realized that people were going in different directions. One girl went to the left and her mama to the right. But I thought that Mom and I could just go in the same direction. Why would I ever leave Mama?
I didn't know where I was or what I was doing there. I didn't know where my husband was, but I tried not to think about it for the sake of my child. I had to care for him and be strong for him. All of a sudden, an officer yelled that we need to be separated. They need to send him to the left. I froze. What are they doing with him? Will I see him tonight? How could I survive without him? I thought I'd see him again. They promised me I would. So I gave him a kiss goodbye and headed for the lines for the shaving room.
The shaving room. She yanked me by the ears and slid the rusty metal shears into my hair. She stripped me of everything. My hair, my beauty, my life. I wanted to cry for Mama, to scream like a little girl, but Mama was gone. And so was that little girl. I was now my own parent, my own guardian. I had to keep going.
Everybody around me looked the same. There was no distinction made of who we were or where we came from. All that I thought about was how to get through the day, how to survive, to wonder what would happen tomorrow. People came and people went. We were all the same. I knew I couldn't save them all. I couldn't stop all of their suffering. I just couldn't bear to see one more life destroyed. I was alone,
all alone in the world. I had to adapt myself quickly, to harden myself, to be able to digest all that was around me. The barbed wire that surrounded the camp was electrified with high voltage. I saw people run, throw themselves on the wire, get electrified, burn to death, because they couldn't take the cruel conditions. When all you have to live for is yourself, there's nothing to stop you from ending it all when the suffering becomes too much to bear.
I saw a Nazi walk up to a woman holding her child. I watched as he forcefully ripped the child from the mother's arms, throwing him to the left and sending her to the right. The child, who began to cry as he watched his mother walk away, was bludgeoned to death on the spot by the butt of a rifle. I just couldn't understand how this could be happening, and how no one was even attempting to stop it. I asked myself, how am I just standing here? If I don't move, if I don't take action, who else will? But I knew I had to do something.
I didn't know about the death camps, but I just had this feeling they would all be killed. I could see it in their sunken eyes. They had no future. There was a hole by the fence by my house, separating us from the railroad, us from them. One day I peeked in and saw the most terrifying sight. Thousands of Jews crowded into one small cable car. I saw a man jump off and ask an officer for water. The officer then took his rifle and clubbed the man to death. I saw his wife standing in the cable car, watching him, watching me. At that moment, I felt there was nothing I could do but run. What would you have expected, for me to have jumped in front of the train?
Close your eyes. Picture your childhood. Picture the dreams that you had. What were they? Have they progressed? Have they developed? Have they changed? Did you have a plan to attain them? Open your eyes. Remember it. Hold on to it.
June 11, 1942, ended the lives of 1,000 Jews from the town of Tarnow, Poland, 800 of them babies and young children. Spilatovska Gora is a mass children's grave. The Nazis came, ripped the children from their parents' arms, packed them into wagons, and trucked them into the forest. Who were these children? They were the youngest of the children, those who were not yet able to walk. They were stuffed into potato sacks and tied to the back of wagons. The Nazis brutally dragged and bounced their bodies against the road until no more cries could be heard.
What is the difference between these children and us? Just the time we live in. Nearly 70 years later, we stand here. The Nazis slaughtered us, wanted to wipe us from the face of the earth. They did not win.
When I was 13, I became a bar mitzvah.
When I was 13, I became a bar mitzvah.
When I was 13, my teachers taught me to put tefillin on my arm.
When I was 13, my teachers taught me to throw a hand grenade with my arm.
When I was 13, I studied the pathways of the Bible and roadways of the Talmud.
When I was 13, I studied the canals of Warsaw and the sewers of the ghetto.
At my bar mitzvah, I took an oath to live as a Jew.
At my bar mitzvah, I took an oath to die as a Jew.
At my bar mitzvah, I blessed God.
At my bar mitzvah, I questioned God.
At my bar mitzvah, I lifted my voice and sang.
At my bar mitzvah, I lifted my fists and fought.
At my bar mitzvah, I started my road of life.
At my bar mitzvah, I began my road to martyrdom.
At my bar mitzvah, they praised my voice, my song, my melody.
At my bar mitzvah, they praised my strength, my courage, my fearlessness.
When I was 13, I was called up to the Torah. I went to the Bima.
When I was 13, my body went up in smoke. My soul rose to God.
When I was 13, I became a bar mitzvah and lived.
When I was 13, I became a bar mitzvah, and now I hope to live within each and every one of you.
תזכני לגדל בנים ובני בנים חכמים ונבונים אוי אבי השם ירא אלוקים
with choices between right or wrong and moral or immoral. However, these concepts were impossible to define, making decisions in planet Auschwitz incredibly difficult.
Yesterday, my family and I were evicted from our home and forced into a crowded train car, if you can even call it that. This morning, as soon as I got out of the car, I was approached by an SS officer. He asked me if I was a doctor. I replied that I was, and he presented me with a choice. I could either resume practicing medicine under the supervision of Dr. Joseph Mengele, the head of the Auschwitz clinic, or I could turn down this offer and have a regular job like everyone else in the camp. On one hand, I would love to go back to work and use my knowledge to help people. On the other hand, I would have an extremely difficult time working for and alongside the Nazis. Another factor to take into account is if I take on this position, I will receive extra rations for both me and my family.
Back in Warsaw, I used my skills to help people. Now I'm dehumanizing them. Today I'm scheduled to remove a woman's ovaries. When I walked into the waiting room to do the final evaluations, I was burst into tears. If I perform this surgery, I'm robbing this woman of her ability to have children. However, if I refuse to perform the surgery, I will be sent to the gas chambers. This operation will happen whether or not I take part in it. There's already another surgeon lined up to do the procedure. With me gone, my sick father will not receive extra rations and will surely die. What kind of choice is this? Why should I be forced to play God?
How do you know what's right or wrong? You have to believe. You must be strong. Pressure comes quick as you debate your choice, hoping it won't turn out to be like a tick. Denial as you scratch your misled choice, wishing you could just turn back. Acceptance comes to you like rain, washing it all away, even the pain. Choices, endless choices to be made. Whether good or bad, someone's paid.
We cannot relate to the decisions made in Auschwitz. Our choices seem difficult and trying, but most situations we face do not result in major losses.
Choices. Every day we are faced with many choices that usually allow for us to choose the good option. However, the victims of the Holocaust were forced to make decisions in the most absurd of situations, always between bad and worse. We cannot judge the decisions because we cannot fathom being in their situations. But we can gain strength from the fact that they made decisions at all and use that strength to go on and help us make our own decisions.